for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Real Housewives of Potomac. This is season 7, episode 5. One thing I will say before we get into this review, y'all may hate Candiace, y'all may despise the way that lady uses her words, but one thing y'all not about to do is act like it is not warranted at this point, because they is trying her. They are every episode. They are trying her. So if she give them that ra-ta-ta-ta, they deserve all that ra-ta-ta-ta. Okay, so let's get into this review. Okay, y'all. So the episode opens up, and it's right after Ashley is like having a moment in the car because someone leaked to the blogs that her and Michael were getting a divorce, and it was before she had a chance to at least release her joint statement of her and Michael. So she pulls up to Candiace's house, and they have a little girls session or a powwow session. They're eating, they're having snacks, and they just talk. Candiace feels like her and Ashley should be great at being friends, especially now that Michael is no longer in the pic, because y'all know Candiace can't stand pasty Michael. And so she's excited for Ashley. She feels like Ashley deserves very tight and young balls, not old, saggy, disgusting, musty ones from Michael. So Candiace is happy for Ashley. She feels like Ashley deserves to have a whole season, but a safe whole season. And they just get to talking at the table. They talk about how Candiace said she had to stop IVF because she was so stressed out about the group. She was just like, it was just too much for her. She also talks about Giselle, and she's like, you and Giselle are really close. And, I know things about you because I've seen Giselle sit, talk, and plot on people. They then talk about Karen and the whole blue eyes thing, the thing that's been going on since, I want to say, like season 2. I thought it was very interesting that they keep going all the way back to show Charisse doing stuff. But I'm like, I remember at that reunion, even Ashley said that her stepson or one of her stepkids saw Karen out and about with some man that was reminiscent of the depiction of who Blue Eyes was. So I'm just like, it's funny how they're trying to like really paint that this whole Charisse versus Karen thing and like where it came from. Honestly, in my opinion, is Karen need to wake up. Yeah, Karen need to wake up because we're in season 5 and Karen ain't done much of nothing. I don't care about her titties. I don't care that Ray doesn't seem to like them. I don't care that her and Ray might have some type of arrangement. At this point, I'm going to need Karen to get it together. I'm going to need Karen to get it together. As well as what is going on with Karen's confessionals. We got another confessional and that wig is horrid. It is tattered and delayed. Like Karen, no ma'am. Like Karen normally gives us cute looks, but these two looks are making her look old, and I don't like it. I don't like it. Like normally Karen looks like old, but like regal and like elegant and like chic. This she just looked tired and ran through, and I don't like it. But I need Karen to wake up. I need her to wake up. So back to Candiace and Ashley. They're sitting at the table and they're just having a good time. And we find out that Ashley, I guess, was seeing not a football player, a hockey player, but let him go because I guess he didn't have good conversation skills. And then she gonna say she compares everybody to Michael. Ew. I feel bad for her because why? Why would you want to compare everybody to that pasty, mucusy looking man? Why? So they So things end there. They end there. Ashley got to go pick up her kids. Before I move on, I don't understand why Candiace wants to be cool with Ashley. I get it, like y'all are the young ones in the groups, but ever since season 4 and low-key part of season 3, Ashley has always given Candiace her ass to kiss. She has always done that. Like, I don't understand why Candiace wants to be cool with that lady. I need Candiace to be like realistic about who these women are. Like nobody on this cast I would see as a friend. Everybody would legit be an associate. Like co-worker-esque because they always come at Candiace. And I'm not saying that sometimes Candiace doesn't deserve it because it's a show. I know everybody on the show is meant to be messy, but with Candiace, I feel like they do it more often. And for me, I would never I had to think about it. I would never, nah, yeah, I would never be cool with Ashley, especially after season 5, after you decided to write a statement against me after I got assaulted by that lady on that other show. You legit wrote a statement because you didn't like me and you weren't even there when the situation happened. It would always be like, to you, like, I would never be cool with you. I would keep it like pavement, like surface level. It would be sidewalk level with you and me. We would not even get concrete deep over here. Like, it would never be that for me and you. So I don't get why Candiace wants to be cool with Ashley, because it's so clear that Ashley is always going to be tethered to Giselle, Robin, and Karen, because they are in cahoots with this whole like we're the OGs things, because they can go to the pits of hell and the ninth level in the basement in hell with each other, but then apologize to one another at the beginning of the season and then kind of freshly start, or get to the reunion, go back, and then be cool, and then we'll see them hanging out afterwards. It always happens. So I don't get why she tries to be cool with them, because they don't see it for you. That's just me. So then we have a sit down with Mia, Gordon, and I think her 2 youngest kids. They're outside. They're eating dinner or possibly lunch. And her kids are being mad annoying. I'm sorry. All that screaming that little girl was doing, I would have told her to shut up if that was Mia. Because there's nothing wrong with them screaming outside, because it's outside, be loud, but not while I'm trying to have a conversation. Like, and it looked like their house is elevated on the deck, so they have to have like a backyard as big as that house is, and y'all paying $65,000 a month in rent. I would hope you would have a backyard. I would have just told them to go down the steps and play. Like, go down the steps in the play. Once me and your dad are done talking, then come up. Because she was screaming so much and it was irritating me, because neither Gordon or Mia were they could have just said, hey, like, chill out for a minute, let mommy and daddy talk. And then, like, once we're done, then get to going. But that little girl was loud and it was annoying me. And it let me know again, I'm not ready for nobody's babies. Because I'd have been like, shut up so quick. Ooh. But they're sitting at the table. Mia forgets her whole cancer storyline. And it was so crazy because she was so stuck. She gave very much the Patrick meme where he's like, and they have like the, like his brain is sparking out, because Gordon was like, yeah, your health has been a concern. And Mia's like, huh? My health? And then Gordon kept saying it. And then she was like, oh, yeah. Well, it's no cancer. But, we just have to get rid of the lumps. She also talks about how she doesn't want to open up another joint chiropractic, which I'm like, after the tea we heard about her joint chiropractic and that whole debacle and mess, girl, was it really that taxing for you? Or was this the time they kicked you out the group and said, we don't want you. We don't want you. So Mia then talks about how, I just been real stressed lately, and I think I want to take all the girls to Miami. So what are your rules for me, Daddy G? Can't do it. I can't. I don't like when women call their men daddy. I don't even like when men call their women like mommy. I don't like it. Yeah, I don't. It don't sit well for me. So Mia ends up telling us that G crashed one of her girls' trip. Jacqueline was on the trip, and I said, okay. Jacqueline and her were on the trip. She talks about how Gordon was happily married, but she was like, I don't know if he was that happy if he came to see me. They got busy on the beach in front of everybody, and you ain't get a fine or a citation. Okay, because she said everybody saw it and they enjoyed it. Yeah, and the only reason I'm bringing that up is because didn't Mia tell us last season that Gordon met her in a strip club, which was not a strip club or a gentleman's club where they just wore gowns, which I was like, you're going to take them gowns off. And he was either divorced already or separated, because Mia is his third wife. I was like, girl, you can't keep your story straight. You cannot keep your story straight. This whole sickness storyline doesn't make sense, because when we were introduced to her on episode 1 of this season, when her mom asked her about it, Mia looked stuck as well. Like she had to remember. And then once her mom was just like, yeah, like, what did the doctor say? Are you okay? Then it like clicked. Oh, no, it's okay. We're still doing tests. We're still trying to see what's going on. Yeah, I said, girl, you need to check yourself out for lying. Like, Mia got a problem. She has a problem. She has a problem. So then we have a scene with Giselle and her daughters. They go to the nail salon. Giselle does one of the most disgusting things I have ever seen at a nail salon. Where, if you've been to a nail salon, they always have the towels where you put your feet on. Giselle picks up the towel at the station where you get your pedicure and she wipes her face with it. And you could tell her daughters were appalled. Like, one of the twins was like, she was like, that is nasty. And I think Giselle realized that it was nasty because they moved on from it so quickly. Like, she didn't even try to go back and forth with her daughters like she normally does with the banter that they have, because I think she realized it was nasty. Because I was like, Giselle, even if you're because she damped her face because she thought her makeup was runny, but there are face towels at these places. Like, I've been to really nice like nail salons, and the nail salon they were at, it looked like it was pretty upstairs, not the hood nail salon, but you can normally ask them like, hey, can I get a face towel? Because even at the hood nail salons, they have face towels because you can get your eyebrows waxed or like threaded, or even get a bikini waxed there. So I'm just like, girl, you're nasty. You're nasty. But we found out that the twins are going to have a sweet 16, and then the oldest one is about to go off to college, and she's expressing how she wants to do a speech. The girls don't want it because they were like, you're not about to embarrass us. You get 45 seconds for each twin, and then we move on to the party. But I think they deserve it. They are like, that's the best part of Giselle are her daughters, because all three of them seem to be very well mannered, very like kind and respectable kids. And it's like, you can tell that Giselle probably poured her all into her kids, and that's about it. Because without her kids, Giselle would not be very what's the word? There would be no humanizing part of her, and she would run into the issue that Lisa Rinna has ran into. Like, we don't even see Lisa Rinna's daughters anymore. People used to enjoy seeing Lisa Rinna's daughters, especially when her oldest, or one of her daughters, talked about her eating disorder. It was relatable to a lot of people watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. If Giselle did not have her 3 kids, people would pay that lady dust, and it would be even worse with the way people dragged that lady. Because it's like, the only thing people always say is like the saving grace of Giselle is her daughters, because they're sweet, they're pretty, and they're kind kids. Other than that, the next scene we have is with Miss Robin. She's going to like a lawyer to talk about her prenup with Juan. Basically, Robin don't want Juan taking her RHOP checks, because that's the only thing that kept them out of, like, that got them out of debt. As well as she don't want Juan taking her embezzled hats, or taking the advertisement dollars from Reasonably Shady, that podcast she got with Giselle. Here's my thing. I don't think it's a bad thing that she wants a prenup. I just think that it's like, right message, wrong messenger. Because it's like, since season 1, Robin and Juan have painted this picture that it is in fact Robin's fault why Juan doesn't have the money that he used to have, or why her and Juan are in such bad financial straits, or why they were in such debt, because she made bad financial decisions, on top of Juan having bad decisions as well. But it seems like she was the ultimate catalyst for them being in the poorhouse. So it's like, how dare you want a prenup when you the reason we was broke in the first place? I think that's how a lot of like people are seeing it. But I think it's okay for them to get a prenup. And I think it's because we have such a negative taste in our mouth about prenups. Like, it's either, oh, if you sign a prenup, you don't really love the person, you're already saying that it's going to be divorce, or you think the person is just out for your money. I'm of the belief that, like, whether you're rich or poor and you decide to get married, I feel like both parties that enter the marriage should have a prenup. Like, we should both sit down with our lawyers and draft up, or sit down with one lawyer and draft up our prenup. And it should be fair on both sides. I think people forget that you can put clauses in your prenup where y'all can revisit it after so many times. Like, you could be married for 12 years and put in there, like, when y'all first started, that every 3 years we just revisit it, check to make sure that we think that what we had in there was fair, and move on. I'm of the belief, like, if I ever get married, that I would get a prenup. Like, say I marry somebody who is a lot, like, has way more money than me, and he's like, yo, if you want to get married, I feel like we should, I would want you to sign a prenup. I probably would sit down with my lawyer, because I was going to get one. I ain't going to sign a piece of paper and I don't know what's in it. And I would have him go over it, or her go over it. And then if it was deemed fair, I would sign it and move on. And I would add things to it in order to protect myself. I feel like, I don't think divorce is inevitable in everybody's situation, but divorce can happen. And if a prenup could make it easier where both parties could get out and not feel slighted by one another, then why not get one and move on with your life? So we then have a scene where the ladies go tulip picking. It's Karen, Ashley, and Wendy. It's cold out there. Everybody cold. And I was just like, how come nobody had on a jacket? Because in order to drive there, you had to check the weather when you got out the car, or before you got in the car to drive to the tulip patch. So I'm just like, were y'all supposed to go somewhere else and it didn't work out? Because I don't get it. Everybody's titties was out, and then when everybody got out the car, they was cold. So they're tulip picking, and Karen says, Wendy, I wasn't happy. I was disappointed that I didn't see you at the at the family fun day. And Wendy basically says, at first I felt some type of way, but I'm fine. She was just like, the nerve of Robin to ask Candiace to take my kids to this thing, my minor children, to go hang out with you, and you don't even like me. So it was just like, that doesn't make sense. They then start showing flashbacks to a party that I guess we ain't gonna never see, where it was a conversation between Ashley, Jacqueline, Mia, and Wendy. And at the tulip patch, Wendy basically says she wants to invite all these ladies to a burn session where they sit down, air out their grievances, and try to move forward. And Wendy says, I've figured out that I can't be condescending. And in that flashback, we see Ashley telling Wendy that you do kind of get into these modes where it does come off condescending. And Wendy was like, I'm going to work on that. So while they're sitting there, and she's texting the group, because she decides to put it in this huge chain, this huge group message chain that they have with everybody on the cast. Ashley is like, well, I think you should text Robin and Giselle separately because y'all have a different relationship. And Wendy's whole thing is like, well, I don't want things to get misconstrued, so I'm going to email everybody so it's like everyone gets the same message. And on one hand, I got where Wendy was coming from. Like, first of all, I don't even like these ladies, so I'm not about to go the extra mile and do extra work by sending you both different texts. You gonna get it in one text, so can't nobody say that I was like trying to act phony or fake in text. I'm sending this to everybody because I would like everyone to come. But I also get where Ashley's coming from, where she's like, well, if you really want to smooth it over, you might need to go the extra mile with them, because those two are clearly the ones that you have issues with. And if you're trying to get to a better place with them, then you might just need to go the extra mile. But I'm on Wendy's side. Girl, I don't like them, so I'm not going the extra mile. We then get to, before I go to Candiace's scene, Ashley is telling Karen that, because Karen asked, because she heard the news about the whole divorce, because it's all over the internet. And Karen's like, how are you doing? And Ashley's like, well, Michael got snipped and he's in Vegas. And Karen's like, okay, so how are you feeling about that? She was like, I don't give a damn. And I'm like, do you or don't you? Because last episode you felt bad and you were like, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to have kids with Michael again. Now you don't care. Girl, what is it? Do you care or you don't care? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it with Ashley. That's why I don't really believe this storyline all the way. I'm not about to sit here and let Ashley play in my face like that. Like I've been saying, until Ashley signs on the dotted line and she move out that condo in the sky, or that concrete box in the sky, I'm not going to believe this. Because it's like she keeps the energy keeps changing. One minute you like you're cool, like you care about him, like cutting off his, his vast deference and not being able to have children anymore, or or the spermatic cord. Now you're like, no, I could care less. I could care less. It's weird. It's weird. It's so weird. So we move on to Candiace and her sister and Chris. We find out that Candiace is going to re-release her Deep Space album, which I've listened to. Like, R&B isn't really my thing. I really like old school R&B. The new school R&B is hit or miss with me. But Candiace has a few songs on that album that is actually really good. And we find out that Trina, the baddest, is actually going to be on the album. Candiace's sister was like, she ain't know who Trina was. And hearing Chris said, you don't know who the baddest bitch is? I don't know why that tickled me, because Chris was like, and then Candiace is looking at her sister like, huh? And then her sister's like, if it ain't Beyonce, I don't know who it is. But they get the text message from from Wendy, and what Chris said was true. Chris was like, if y'all can't really have a burn session if everybody doesn't come there with the same intentions of trying to clear the air. And Candiace said, yeah, with this group, you never really know, and it's probably going to be burn them edges because nobody's going to want to really fix this. So then Chris leaves and they talk about Ashley, and Candiace basically says she doesn't really want to beef with anybody in the group, specifically Ashley, because she was like, she knows her going through a divorce is a lot and she doesn't want to add on to that, but she wants to be cool with Ashley and get to a good place. So it's time for everybody to get to the actual burn session. It's actually at some winery. Candiace is having flashbacks and she's like, why would you bring me here? To this demonic, to the demonic wine spirit. We see that Wendy and Ashley are riding in a car together, and then everybody else is in a Sprinter. We find out that Robin was saying that she wasn't gonna come, and I said, girl, you need this check. Don't play stupid, Robin. Get your ass on this bus and come out. While Ashley and what's her name? While Ashley and Wendy are in the car together, we find out that Wendy's mom actually was admitted into the hospital, and it really has Wendy stressed because she was just finding out that, like, in 30 years, I could be like my mom if I don't take better care of myself. We also find out that she has kidney stones as well, and it's like Wendy is basically running herself into the wall, and at this point, girl, either you gonna actually take time and relax and pause for a minute and only work on the projects that you have, or shut up, because your body is telling you, like, stop. You're losing hair because you're stressed out. Now you having kidney stones because you're so stressed that you're not really, or you are taking in water, but your body is consuming so much water so fast that you're not taking in enough water to replenish yourself, and now you have kidney stones. Like, sis, I'm gonna need you to stop. Just stop. So they get to the winery. Y'all, they all talk to Ashley about, like, her breaking up with Michael because the streets is talking. And honestly, y'all, a few of them tweets, I actually know they blurred out people. But the Sheila dancing tweet, I low-key know who's that tweet. I was like, not them showing tweets from the people on the internet. They be watching. They stay watching. I was tickled. I was so tickled. So they sit down to actually have the burn session. All right, y'all. So the next scene is the beginning of the burn session. We find out that the way it's supposed to go is whoever is in the hot seat, everybody is supposed to write down either their grievances with that person or a compliment if they don't have any grievances with that person. I'm going to skip all the niceties. The only three people that really had something to say was Mia, Robin, and Giselle. Karen, Ashley, and Candiace actually had sweet things to say to Wendy and gave her a compliment because Wendy was the one to go first. Mia basically, like, colossal feat, basically sat there and was just being a hypocrite, where she was just like, Wendy doesn't really take accountability for anything. But when I saw the text, I realized, oh my gosh, she is taking accountability. And I would like to get to know this Wendy, a summary of what she said. And I'm looking at Mia like, girl, you never take accountability. You lie consistently. And then when people catch you, you either apologize real quick because you're like, ooh, when you know you're lying, or you be like, oh, I don't remember. I don't remember. I don't remember. And I'm looking at Mia like, you hard-faced lady. You hard-faced lady. You're disrespectful. You are very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. And I couldn't be bothered with her. And my thing is like, I want to like Mia because Mia has cute little quips sometimes. But then Mia does things where I just get so irritated with her, where I was just like, girl, I could never. I could never. So then we get to Robin. Robin basically says that her and Wendy are like oil and water, and she's okay with that. And you have Wendy being like, okay. So then they get to Giselle. Giselle basically said that Wendy was on a Giselle Bryant hate train, and that it was fake of Wendy to try to come and talk to her when they hadn't even apologized to one another. And I'm looking at Giselle and Robin like, girl. Wait, let me continue before I say what I got to say about that. So someone asks Wendy, like, did you take everything in that they're saying? And Wendy's like, yeah. She says that we're like oil and vinegar. And Robin's like, no, oil and water, like we don't mix. And Wendy's like, okay, but I don't think our issues are that deep. Like, what is the issue really, Robin? Candiace tries to say, well, I think Robin needs to put like state her grievances, like, and be very like matter of fact about it. Giselle cuts Candiace off and is like, we're not about to sit here and do a summary. We're not about to pinpoint everything that she's done wrong. I was like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. That's the whole point of the session, to state all your grievances. So then Robin's like, you know what my issue is, Wendy? You know what my issue is, Wendy? You're going around telling people that I was trying to fight you, and now you out here trying to paint me like a thug. And Wendy's like, I never said you were a thug. I never said that. And she was like, well, I don't like you telling people that I tried to fight you. And then they flash back to that same party where we see the conversation between Ashley, Jacqueline, and Mia, where Wendy is saying like she walked up on me like she wanted to fight me. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what you did, Robin. My thing is like, I don't think Robin was going to fight Wendy, but you did come at her aggressively. Like, you stood up, you were walking towards her, being very like about it, like you wanted to do something. Do I think Robin would have did anything? No, but it's just like, ma'am, you are aggressive. You've been aggressive since the earliest seasons. Man, like, what are we doing? Like, you and that other lady who shall not be named almost got into a fight outside of a restaurant. You and Giselle pulled up on Ashley at the kangaroo hut and got a clear up in that girl's face while she was at her employer's establishment. And it's just kind of like, Robin, you are aggressive. Just own it and move on. So Robin's like, you trying to pay me out to be a thug. You trying to pay. And I'm like, no one called you a thug, but the fact that you went to thug, I feel like that's how you feel about yourself, because no one calls you that. So then they call Charisse on FaceTime. And they ask Charisse, like, they're like, Charisse, did anyone have to touch me to calm me down? And because in the statement that Wendy said, well, someone, like, you had to have people hold you back from coming at me. And Charisse lies and says no, because they rolled back the footage and you clearly see Charisse doing this as Robin's behind her, and then her putting her arms on Robin's shoulders, not her arms, her hands on Robin's shoulders to like sit her down. And then Robin sits down. So I was like, you're lying. So then Robin's like, that's that on that, pretty much. She was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this anymore. This is fake. I'll be in the car. So Robin goes all the way down the steps, gets in the Sprinter that they rode up there to. In her she kind of like had a hot mic moment kind of. She was like, where my Uggs at? Because I'm going to be out here for a minute. Because they being fake in there. And I'm looking at Robin like, girl, you stupid. Even if I didn't want to talk to Wendy, I would have sat at that table drinking my good wine, that good wine that they had at that place, and eating all the hors d'oeuvres there, because it's paid for by Bravo. That's free food and free liquor. Girl, I would sit there drink my drink, eat my food, and pay you dust, and we wouldn't even have to have this conversation anymore. I would just be, I don't want to talk no more. I don't want to talk no more. Like invisible. So then Giselle's whole thing is about how she feels like Wendy was on a hate train. And I'm like, Giselle, you are the one who started the hate train for yourself, ma'am. Like, you are the conductor, the train attendant, and the person that operates the train station that started the hate train on yourself. Because my thing is, last season, I did think Wendy did a 180 and low-key tried to dumb herself down for the fans because she did not like the reaction or the response from the audience on season 5. So when she walked into season 6, she was different. And I noticed it. Excuse me. But the way Giselle went about it, it was like, girl, you're doing too much. Why are you bringing up blogs saying that Wendy might have a secret family and that he's cheating on Wendy? Like, you did that. So, of course, the lady gonna come at your neck, especially if it's not anything true. And my thing about Giselle is, like, Giselle always does this where she brings outside information into the group that it seems like the person that they're coming at doesn't know about it. And then she gets all, like, flabbergasted when they, like, chop her up at the neck. And it's like, Giselle, you started it. You started it. Now, did I agree with Giselle and Robin when they said that Wendy's personality did shift and it felt like they didn't really know Wendy anymore? I did, but y'all don't know when to stop. Mainly Giselle don't know when to, like, hit the pause button on some of her schemes and her BS. Because my thing is, like, yeah, was it fake for Wendy to walk up on Giselle on episode 1 and try to be cool with her and they didn't have a sit down or have like a come to Jesus moment? But Giselle's sitting here acting like she didn't do nothing to cause the Giselle Bryant hate train that she thinks Wendy was on. I find that to be very, like, disingenuous and full of, because, ma'am, you started it. Like, you are the one who bought a ticket to your own hate train because you started the issue. You started it. Like, you started it. So then after that whole situation happens and Karen basically calls Giselle and Robin out, where she's like, all the yelling is coming from y'all side of the table. Like, y'all aren't even following her instructions. Like, this is supposed to be where we hash things out and move on. And Giselle's whole thing is like, she's not being real. She's not. I was like, she is though. But okay. So then out of nowhere, the light bulb headed fiend pops in and says she wants to talk to Candiace, where she's like, well, I just want to let you know that my friend Deborah said that Chris was very flirtatious with her at the party. And I'm like, Deborah. I'm not going to say what Deborah looked like, but Deborah. And y'all was going up for Deborah. And I said, I don't like her. So, and then they flash back to the party and you don't see Chris even talking to Deborah. So I'm like, oh, y'all full of it. Y'all even trying to rope in Deborah in this. So then Candiace is like, what are we doing? Like, you were just at my house a few days ago. You couldn't tell me this at my house. And then Ashley's rebuttal is like, well, I just got this information like a few days after that. So then Candiace is like, why didn't you call me? And then Ashley's like, well, I knew we were going to be seeing each other and I just felt like it would be better this way. And I was like, no, Ashley, you wanted a moment because several episodes ago, you and Candiace had a sit down where it was a one-on-one session where you relayed that information about Chris allegedly sliding into your DMs trying to talk to you or holler at you. And I'm like, no, you want a moment, because in that moment you were being respectful, where you said you realized Candiace likes one-on-ones, not being confronted in the group. But now you're doing it to her in front of the group. So Candiace calls it out and is like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? So then Ashley's like, well, I feel like you need to talk to Chris and talk to him being like, he might be being too friendly, because Mia even said that he was looking at her. And Mia was like, yeah, he was looking at me, but not in a sexual way. And then they flash back to the image of Chris, of the beam footage of Chris not even looking at Mia. And it's saying Chris still not looking at Mia. So then Candiace says, you know what, in her confession, I should not have trusted this bulbous head, and she shouldn't have. So then Candiace tell Ashley, you are a vindictive bitch. And then Ashley is like, well, you know, the pendulum always swings back at you. So you were doing this to have a moment and being malicious. So then she's like, well, Candiace, if you just want to like act like it doesn't exist and disregard it and like not talk about it, just say that. Just say that. And Candiace was like, well, you would know. Because that's what you did with Michael. And I'm looking at Ashley like, you are really trying to get your lick back for a man that said he was not attracted to your pregnancy body after having his 2 seeds. A man that since season 1 has been embarrassing you left and right. A man that does not respect you enough that when you said you don't want to have no more threesomes, still propositions you for threesomes. A man that your small, like smooth brain headed ass could not even be smart enough to have an escape plan to have money. Because I tell y'all, and I will tell y'all this again, that man ain't got no money and he ain't giving her none if he do have it. And I'm like, you're doing all of this for this pasty, like mucinex, always looking drippy, wet, like disease, predatory, touching people without their consent man. You doing all of that for Michael. All of that for Michael. And I'm just like, you can't trust her. You can't trust her. But that's where it ends, y'all. That's where it is. But yeah, y'all, that is it. That is all. Remember to be bravely authentic and hop down in them comments below. Deuces.